Hello, everyone. Grateful to be with us here at ULT San Diego for the Aquarian series. This evening's presentation is entitled Rama and Sita, given to us by Shobha Sharma. And we'll start with a reading. This is taken from the Yoga Vasishta. Rama, at the age of 16, comes to Vasishta and Vishvamitra, his two teachers, dejected and sad, to act. The Yoga Vasishta is a treatise of 32,000 verses to teach and to assuage Rama to get over his dejection and sadness. Vasishta told Rama, directed by Vishvamitra, Rama, mighty armed, great person, one who is full of pure consciousness. This indeed is not the time for repose. Be one who brings happiness to the world. As long as the recollection of the world of a yogin is not drawn out, so long the stainless state of developed samadhi does not arise at all. Therefore, perform the duties of administration of the kingdom and the like in due order. So also, having accomplished the work of the devas, be happy, renouncing thereafter. Thus told by Vasishta, Rama, the son of Dasaratha, who was freed from all desires, said this out of humility. On account of your favor, there is neither rule nor prohibition for me. Though it is so, your word ought to be carried out by me always. Great sage in the Vedas, Agamas, and Puranas, and also in the Smrutis, the word of the spiritual teacher is declared to be the rule. That which is contrary to that is the prohibition. Thus, having said, Rama, the repository of compassion and the self of all, placing the feet of that high-souled Vasishta on his head, told all those assembled, please hear all of you the conclusion arrived at by investigation. There is nothing higher than the knowledge of the self and the spiritual preceptor knowing that self. Then a shower of flowers verily fell on the head of Rama. And now we give you our own Shobha Sharma.
Thank you so much for that beautiful reading from the Yoga Vasishta. The story of Rama and Sita is really the story of Ramayana. H.P. Blavatsky in the Isis Unveiled, Volume 2, page 278 states that it is the grandest epic poem in the world and the source and origin of Homer's inspiration. Many of you probably know the Valmiki version. I shall use Kamba Ramayana, which is well known and considered an excellent Tamil version of the same mythological tale. I spent some time reading a critique written by a Tamil scholar these past months, of course, using a dictionary to wade through some unknown Tamil words. Even though it is my mother tongue and is an older language, it is a Dravidian language, it is older than Sanskrit. I never studied Tamil in school. In fact, it is not just Tamil scholars who hold that view, but David Schulman, a peace activist in Israel, has extensively studied 2 languages from South India, including my mother tongue, Tamil. He says in his book entitled Tamil, page 166, but the finest example we have in this period of an early temple poet is that of Kamban, whom many, myself included, would crown as the most gifted of all Tamil authors. The period referred to is perhaps the 12th century, where Kamban, a non-Brahmin priest, probably at a temple for the goddess Kali, won a competition to write the Ramayana in Tamil. He created this wonderful poem of 10,000 verses, keeping quite faithfully to the Valmiki version, but with his own little twists and nuances. He says, right at the beginning, that like a cat who sees an ocean of milk decides he can drink the whole ocean, he decided to write the story of Rama Avatar with the same amount of ambition. With a sense of humility, he wrote an epic poem that is still regarded as a masterpiece, worth reading along with the Valmiki rendition, several centuries, of course, before Kamban. The story is divided into 6 sections or kandas: Bala Kanda, Ayodhya Kanda, Aranya Kanda, Kishkinda Kanda, Sundara Kanda, and finally Yuddha Kanda. Kamban kept the same divisions or sections like Valmiki. I shall explain each one of them, try to make it a summary, and talk of the theosophical and esoteric connections in each section. Many consider Rama as the 7th avatar of Vishnu. Now, what is an avatar? If you watch Hollywood movies, you have a certain idea about it. In Hindu mythology, it was necessary for Vishnu, the preserver, to appear again and again on earth to right wrongs and save mankind from further destruction. In Isis Unveiled, Volume 2, page 274, H.P. Blavatsky says, if we now examine the 10 mythical avatars of Vishnu, we find them recorded in the following progression. I shall stop with the 7th avatar, but they're supposed to be 10, including Gautama Buddha and Krishna, Gautama Buddha, and then an avatar that is supposed to come at the end of Kali Yuga. So let's do the 7 as H.P. Blavatsky enumerates them. Number 1, Matsya avatar as fish, Kurma avatar number 2 as tortoise, 3, Varaha as a boar, 4, Narasingha or Narasimha as a man-lion, last stage, 5, Vamana as a dwarf, first step towards the human form, 6, Parashurama as a hero, but yet an imperfect man. And finally, 7, Ramachandra as the hero of Ramayana, physically a perfect man. These avatars need not be taken literally, but symbolically, for she says on page 276, in this succession of avatars, the truly philosophical idea is of a simultaneous physical and spiritual evolution of creatures and man. From a fish, the progress of this dual transformation carries on the physical form through the shape of a tortoise, a boar, and a man-lion, and then appearing in the dwarf of humanity. It shows Parashurama physically a perfect, spiritually an undeveloped entity, until it carries mankind personified by one godlike man to the apex of physical and spiritual perfection, a god on earth, Rama. She uses the phrase mythical avatars of Vishnu, and later on page 431 of the 2nd volume in the same book, she explains about the significance of myths. There are few myths in any religious system, but have a historical as well as a scientific foundation. Myths, as Pocock was a biblical scholar and an Orientalist of the 17th century. Pocock ably expresses myths as they are now proved to be fables, just in proportion as we misunderstand them, truths in proportion as they were once understood. I will try to unravel some of the knots of mythology in this story. We start with Balakanda. Bala means youth or childhood. And the poet Kamban starts this first section detailing the topography of Ayodhya. He lyrically describes the fertility of the Sarayu River here and the wonderful king Dasharatha, who rules Ayodhya wisely. The lineage of Dasharatha is mentioned. He belongs to the Solar Kings dynasty, rules his subjects with love and compassion, making sure that their needs are met even before they request help. Yet he is sad because he has no children from his 3 wives. Finally, with the advice of Vashishta Rishi, he performs a huge sacrifice to the gods. Then his wives become pregnant and give birth to 4 sons. Queen Kausalya is the mother of Rama. Queen Kaikeyi is the mother of Bharata. And finally, Queen Sumitra has 2 sons, Lakshmana and Shatrughna. The 4 sons grow up to be handsome, kind, and brave, learning the scriptures, archery, sword wielding, riding horses and elephants with the help of Vashishta. But Rama always stands out in a very special way. Every day, the 4 sons go to the hermitage where Vashishta lives and walk back home to the palace. On the way home, they meet the subjects, and Rama takes the extra step to converse with them with kindness and humility. The people of Ayodhya love all the sons, but Rama definitely is their favorite, and they all wish that he succeeds his father as the next ruler. King Dasharatha has a special love and affection for him as well. Time passes, and now the sons are all proficient in the arts and sciences learned from Vashishta. Then Rishi Vishwamitra comes to see the king and requests him to send Rama to the forest and defeat and kill the Rakshasas who are disturbing his sacrifices. Dasharatha initially is hesitant and reluctant, which angers the Rishi. Vashishta talks to the king and advises him to send Rama. The king agrees. Rama, always accompanied by Lakshmana, go to the Anga forest area and reach a place where there are no trees and looks like a desert. Rishi Vishwamitra tells them that this is where the Rakshasi, Tataki, destroyed the forest. As they are waiting there, the Rakshasi arrives and throws an armament at them. Seeing a woman there, Rama hesitates, but at the urging of Vishwamitra, he finally kills her. On the way back, the brothers, pass a stone in the form of a woman. When Rama's feet grazes the stone, suddenly a woman appears there. She is Ahalya. She thanks him profusely for releasing her from the curse placed on her. Vishwamitra explains, she is the wife of sage Gautama, and Indra came and violated her. So the sage cursed Indra and turned her into stone. She begged him for mercy because she had not sinned. So he modifies the curse by saying, she will be liberated by Rama. The brothers wonder where they will be taken next by the wily Rishi. He says that they are going to the city of Mithila, where King Janaka is holding a Swayamvara. A Swayamvara is when the woman chooses her husband, something like the bachelorette. And this Swayamvara is being held for his daughter Sita, and whoever breaks the bow that Shiva bestowed to Janaka will marry her. The Rishi takes them to deliberately towards the palace, where Sita is in her balcony and she glances at Rama, who looks up at her. Their eyes meet and there is instant attraction. The poet says, Annal nokinan, avalum nokinar, which means he looked at her and she also looked at him. Then the Rishi takes him to King Janaka, who immediately wishes to know Rama's heritage. The Rishi tells him that he's from the dynasty of the Solar kings and a descendant of Ikshvaku. In the chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, right at the beginning, Krishna says, This exhaustless doctrine of yoga I formerly taught unto Vivaswat. Vivaswat communicated it into Manu, and Manu made it known unto Ikshvaku. In the footnote, W.Q. Judge states, Ikshvaku, the founder of the Indian Solar dynasty. Vishwamitra explains the lineage from Manu through 17 kings of the Surya Kula, Solar dynasty, who preceded King Dasharatha. Janaka is very impressed and hands the bow to Rama to string and to break. Rama does this effortlessly, and Sita becomes his life consort, his wife after the blessings and ceremony with elders. I have a few comments about this first Balakanda. There seems to be a magic in the air since the queens mysteriously have babies once the Rishi asks King Dasharatha to do a yajna or a sacrifice. One has to remember that the kings of that period had siddhis or powers that they cultivated. But the rishis had even more siddhis, which they only used when needed. That was their magic or theurgy, like the alchemists, Gnostics, and occultists of yore. Just as chemistry is mysterious and magical for some young children, so also most of us are enamored by these tall tales. Tartiki is a Rakshasi, so generally people consider her to be evil and needs to be destroyed. But if you look at the esoteric significance of Rakshasis and Rakshasas, feminine and masculine forms respectively, the Theosophical Glossary says on page 275, Rakshasas, Sanskrit origin, literally raw eaters, and in the popular superstition, evil spirits, demons. Esoterically, however, they are the Gibberan, giants of the Bible, the fourth race of the Atlantean. And in the Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, page 415, under the article Demon est Deus Inversus, H.P. Blavatsky makes a very curious statement about the Rakshasas and other beings similar to them. They are represented as extremely pious, following the precepts of the Vedas, some of them even being great yogis. But they oppose the clergy and the ritualism and the sacrifice in forms. Tartaki takes a whole new interpretation. The liberation of Ahalya indicates the powers of Rama. Throughout this tale, there are many cases of Rakshasas and others being liberated by Rama's presence and his actions. Now, let us look at the instant rapport between Rama and Sita. This is beyond physical attraction. Rama is the incarnation of Vishnu, and Sita is considered to be the incarnation of Lakshmi, his consort. If Rama is Purusha on earth, she is his Prakriti. Sita has many names. She is called Maithili, the daughter of the city of Mithila. She is Janaki, the daughter of King Janaka. But more importantly, she is Bhuma Devi, the goddess of the element earth, where King Janaka first discovers her as an infant. She has powers over the elements, and later we will see her using them in Sundara Kanda. We move to the next Kanda, or section called Ayodhya Kanda. The married couple come to Ayodhya and preparations are being made by the aged King Dasharatha and his advisors to celebrate the coronation of Rama as the next ruler of Ayodhya. The whole city is joyous when something happens to rock the status quo. Now, Queen Kaikeyi looks at all the decorations in the city and feels happy. But Manthara, her old maid, spends time talking to her on the eve of the coronation, poisoning her mind slowly. She says, "While you sit here feeling contented, what happens to your own son Bharata? You will no longer be the king's favorite. It will now be Queen Kausalya's turn." Initially, the queen protests and says, "What harm can come to me? I love Rama, and he will always show his respect and honor me and love me." But the old maid is persistent. She reminds her about the boons she had received from King Dasharatha many years ago to get whatever she needed because she had saved him from an unfortunate accident while traveling. The old maid keeps talking, and the queen does not stop her. She says the dynasty will go to Queen Kausalya's family, not hers. Hearing this, her heart and mind change direction. The poet says that her mind slowly became like milk curdling, and she forsake the purity in her heart. Now Manthara tells her to ask the king for two boons that she had. One, to send Rama to the forest for 14 years, and to crown Bharata as the next king. Soon King Dasaratha arrives in a happy mood to her chambers. And when he hears the two boons, he's terribly distraught and says he's willing to make Bharata the king, but begs to change the first boon of sending Rama to the forest. But she is adamant, and the unhappy king stays extremely agitated and depressed all night. The atmosphere inside is charged with sadness as the city outside is festooned with decorations for the upcoming coronation. Early morning, it seems as if to the poet that the birds were shaking their feathers as if saddened and crying at King Dasharatha's state of mind. Rama arrives at the queen's palace to pay obeisance to the senior queen and his father. As he enters the chambers, he finds his father speechless. So the queen, Mother Kaikeyi, states, "Your father has something that he needs to express to you." But not a word comes from King Dasharatha's mouth. Rama at once, without any hesitation, says, "Whatever it is, I will follow his commands, and you as my mother can let me know." Kaikeyi then lays it out succinctly. Bharata will become king, and you will go to the forest for 14 years. Rama smiles like the lotus and agrees. He says, "I will leave today," and bows down to her and departs her chambers. He decides first to go see his mother, Queen Kausalya. Rama's mother is shocked to see him not decked with the coronation regalia. She questions if there were any problems getting the coronation done today. Rama responds with, "My dear brother Bharata will become king," and explains his father's orders. Queen Kausalya responds with these words, "Apart from the fact that according to tradition, the oldest son is to be crowned, there is nothing wrong with Bharata becoming king. He is kind, without any defects, and he's even a better person than you. If the king wishes it, so be it. You can continue to live and support him for many years." Then Rama mentions the second boon. The queen is deeply saddened and cries. She cannot bear the thought of being separated from her son, and for a moment wonders what made the king do this. She begs Rama to take her with him, but Rama says that she needs to be near King Dasharatha to take care of him and in addition, help Bharata with his kingly duties. Then Rama decides to see the third queen, Sumitra, so she can console his mother. Meanwhile, news travels fast about King Dasharatha's boons granted for Queen Kaikeyi. The king begs Vashishta to aid him, and the rishi tries reprimanding her and talking to her and pleading with her, all to no avail. Lakshmana hears the news and he is livid. But Rama spends his time calming him down and stating that he should learn to check what comes out of his mouth. They both go to see Queen Sumitra now. She's tear-struck and very sad. The brothers bring the bark attire to wear in the forest because Lakshmana has convinced Rama that he will go with him to the forest. The mother gives Lakshmana good advice. She says, go with him. Take care of him like a servant and be willing to sacrifice yourself to protect him. When Sita sees her life partner Rama in bark attire, she's taken aback. She wonders aloud if something terrible happened to the king. Rama explains everything. She states she cannot bear the fact of not accompanying him to the forest. When Rama tries to dissuade her, saying that she will have to suffer discomfort living in the forest, she retorts, I will suffer more staying here and feeling the torment of separation versus the sorrows and pains living in the forest. She goes immediately and attires the bark-made clothing and is determined to accompany him. Once again, he tries to stop her by saying, it hurts me so much to see you do this. At once she responds, how can you say that? Shouldn't my staying back hurt you more? And refuses to listen to him. The whole city cries as the three of them leave Ayodhya. They follow them as they are taken to the city limits. Finding a spot where they are unable to follow, they spend the night in the forest and tell the charioteer to go back home. Now they keep walking. Meanwhile, King Dashratha, seeing the chariot come home without Rama, breaks down and dies. As per tradition, Vashishta requests Bharata and Shatrughna, who have gone on a mission outside Ayodhya, to come back and conduct the last rites for their father. The bark-clothed three arrive near the Ganges River. They pass by the hermitages of many sages who welcome them with food and shelter. A forest dweller named Guha requests Rama and his companions to stay at his place. Rama gently refuses, but is willing to take his boat to cross the Ganges. Once Guha takes them across the river, he wishes to accompany Rama as long as he can. Impressed with his love and devotion, Rama accepts him as his brother. They stop at Bharadwaja Muni's hermitage and he requests Rama to stay with him permanently. Once again, Rama declines the offer and then he is told to stay in the region of Chitrakoot. They cross the Jamuna river and Lakshmana builds a cottage for them in Chitrakoot. Meanwhile, in Ayodhya, the two brothers, Bharata and Shatrughna, return and are extremely shocked by the turn of events while they perform the last rites for their father. Bharata doesn't wish to be the next king and decides to go and persuade Rama to return. Guha sees a retinue in the distance and wonders if Bharata is coming to attack Rama. But as they come closer, he notices that Bharata is also wearing the bark attire and realizes he comes in peace to Chitrakoot. He entreats Rama to come back and also informs him of his father's demise. Rama and Lakshmana perform the rites, but Rama is firm in his resolve. So Bharata decides to take his sandals to place it on the throne. He says he will worship them and take care of the subjects till he returns. Comments on Ayodhya Khanda. It seems to be mainly a study of human behavior. There are builders and destroyers around us. Manthara stands out like Iago in Shakespeare's Othello, instigating and planting negative energy in someone who's vulnerable to this. So she is a destroyer and disrupts the natural flow of things. However, one should remember that the whole objective of Rama's avatar was to destroy Ravana. and every incident leads to it finally. So Manthara and Kaikeyi play a crucial role in accelerating the objective. The beatific, calm energy of Rama is evident in this kanda. He does not curse or say anything offensive about Kaikeyi. And when relating the message to others around him, he mentions only the fact that his father has laid down his conditions. None of the other queens say anything irreverent about Kaikeyi. All these queens are self-governed sages themselves and practice the teachings with a pure heart and have mastery over their thoughts. Bharata is another figure who shows his deep love and devotion to his brother and patiently waits for him to return to Ayodhya. Talking about deep devotion and service, Guha plays an important role as gatekeeper, devotee, and protector of Rama. So in spite of the horrible events in this kanda, it is truly inspiring talking about the heights humans can reach when the higher self radiates its energy. We are in Aranya Kanda. Aranya means forest. All the action takes place in the forest here.
Shobha,
Rama and Sita are traveling south and
Shobha,
go
are you
to
able to hear
three
me?
main forest areas: Dandaka, Panchavati, and Kavanda. They first stop at Atri Rishi's hermitage. They are fed and lodged.
Shobha, can we
The
stop
Rishi
for just a
wife,
minute?
Nusuya, gives Sita some ornaments. After bidding goodbye to them, they make their way towards the Dandaka forest. A Rakshasa named Viradhan swiftly carries Sita away. Rama and Lakshmana immediately attack and kill him. As he is dying, he thanks Rama for releasing him from his curse and takes his Gandharva form as he sings the praises of Rama. He states he was working with Kubera, the god of wealth, and fell prey to his desires and was cursed. They get to Rishi Sharabanka's hermitage. At that very moment, Brahma, who is impressed with the Rishi's austerity, sends Indra to take him to Brahmaloka. But the Rishi refuses to go to Brahmaloka, pays his obeisance to Rama and enters the fire. From there, they meet many Rishis who show their hospitality and respects. And also they get to see Rishi Agastya's and finally settle near Panchavati forest to keep the Rakshasas at bay and help the Rishis with their penances and sacrifices. They live there for 10 years. In Panchavati forest, they also meet Jatayu, the king of the feathered tribe, who greets them first after mourning the death of his dear friend King Dashratha. He says that he will protect them in this forest. Meanwhile, Shrupnakai, who is Ravana's sister, he's the king of Lanka, an island further south. She sees Rama and is struck by his looks and bearing and falls in love with him. She tells him she wishes to marry him. But of course he refuses because he says he's married to Sita. Being a Rakshasi, she decides to carry Sita away. Lakshmana intervenes and cuts off her nose and brings Sita back. She's enraged and asks the help of several other Rakshasas, some of whom are her brothers. All of them meet their death at the hands of Rama and Lakshmana. Now she's incensed and decides to go to Lanka and complain to her big brother Ravana. She twists this tale slightly by deciding to describe Sita's beauty and elegance to tempt her brother and urges him to somehow carry her to become his wife. Ravana is full of lust after hearing her description of Sita and decides on a plan. He asks Maricha to carry out his request to lure the brothers away and so that Sita is left alone. Maricha, a Rakshasa related to Ravana, is very reluctant to do this, but has to finally listen to Ravana's repeated requests. The next day, as Rama and Sita are outside their little cottage, She spies the beautiful golden deer and begs Rama to get it for her. Rama, somewhat skeptical, doesn't want to go, but her insistence makes him follow the deer to catch the deer, who is elusive and keeps running away. Knowing this will take time, he makes sure that Lakshmana takes care of Sita while he goes to pursue the deer. Lakshmana is also suspicious and warns Rama, but he insists on going. Soon, deep in the forest, far from the cottage, Rama kills the deer, and with a loud screech mimicking Rama's voice, Maricha dies. Sita thinks Rama is in danger and entreats Lakshmana to go help his brother. Lakshmana feels it is a trick and doesn't wish to leave her, but of no avail. Finally, reluctantly, he goes. And within seconds, Ravana, dressed as a mendicant, carries her off. As she's pleading and screaming in his Pushpa Vimana, which is actually a vehicle made out of flowers that flies in the air, Jatayu comes to save her and pecks and tries to harm Ravana. The king of Lanka takes out his astra, or magical armament, and strikes him to fall down to die. The abduction of Sita is disaster breaks out as soon as the brothers return to find the whole cottage missing with Sita. As they try to look for her, the first thing they see is Jatayu lying on the ground dying. He explains to Rama while gasping for breath that Ravana took his Sita away, and when he tried to defend her, he was killed by him. Now at least they know where Sita has been taken. They mourn Jatayu's death, who has been a good friend. Their troubles do not cease, because immediately they see an apparition called Kavandaha that tries to kill them both. Lakshmana cuts off his limbs and he becomes a Gandharva and blesses them for releasing him. The Gandharva, as he departs, tells them to look for Shabari, who will help them find Sugriva. The Gandharva says that Sugriva is the key to getting Sita back. The two brothers reach the place where Shabari is, who guides them with love and devotion to the Iralai mountain where Sugriva lives. A few words about this Kanda. Many of the rishis mentioned and met by Rama in this story, starting with Vashishta, Vishwamitra, and continuing with Bharadwaja and Atri, could be part of the Shapta rishis mentioned in Hindu scriptures. In The Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, page 198, H.P. Blavatsky states, this connects the stellar and the lunar spirits with the higher planetary angels and the Sapta Rishis, the 7 rishis of the stars of the Hindus, as subordinate angels, messengers to these rishis, the emanations on the descending scale of the former. She clarifies on page 631 of volume 2 of The Secret Doctrine. The Hindus place in the Great Bear their 7 primitive rishis and calls this constellation the abode of the Sapta Rishi. But whether it is an astronomical myth or a primordial mystery having a deeper meaning than it bears on the surface is what their adepts claim to know. I shall leave it at that to ponder. But one thing that we must know is Vashishta is the wisest of the rishis. And on page 415 of The Secret Doctrine, Volume 1, H.P. Blavatsky says, when Parasara, whose father was devoured by the Rakshasa, was preparing himself to destroy their whole race, his grandsire Vashishta says a few extremely suggestive words to him. He shows the irate Parasara on his own confession that there is evil and karma, but no evil spirits. What could be more remarkable than this? The magic of Maricha as a Rakshasa is part of the siddhis they possess, just like the Asuras and the Devas. Maricha tries very hard to dissuade Ravana, because he's aware of who Rama really is and sees the destruction of Ravana in the future. The liberation of demons through death to become Gandharvas is another significant action that continues due to the touch and presence of Rama, the incarnation of Vishnu. The glossary on page 124 says about Gandharvas, the celestial choristers and musicians of Indra. In the Vedas, these deities reveal the secrets of heaven and earth and esoteric science to mortals. We are more than ever aware that what seems like empty space is filled with different lives that seers like Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita see and interact with. Jatayu is introduced as the king of the vultures, according to the glossary, page 163. The son of Garuda, the great cycle, or Mahakalpa, symbolized by the giant bird, which served as a steed for Vishnu and other gods when related to time and space. Shabari is like Guha, an abject devotee of Rama. She has been waiting for this day to come. She feeds him berries after tasting them herself, and Lakshmana is horrified by the sight. Yet Rama, with all his love and supreme compassion, says, "That is fine, because she is my devotee." Now we enter Kishkinda Kanda. Kishkinda is the region where Sugriva and Vali live. These are the monkeys, and their leaders have immense strength and also intelligence. Sugriva and his retinue see them coming, and they think they are Vali's people and hide in the mountain. Only Hanuman, the leader, himself, who is the son of Vayu, god of the wind, and Anjana, and Sugriva's helper and assistant, is not afraid and feels that these humans are trustworthy. Rama instantly knows who he is and explains to Lakshmana about him being well-read and strong like his father. He also informs Hanuman about why he is in the forests. Hanuman takes them to Sugriva, explaining everything to him. Immediately, Sugriva falls at his feet to be his devotee and takes refuge in Rama. He talks about the animosity, deep animosity between him and his brother Vali. His brother, while chasing a Rakshasa, disappeared into a cave and didn't return at all for a long time. So Sugriva managed the affairs of the monkey world and ruled the area. When Vali finally came out, he was angered and, without even getting to know the reason, abducted Sugriva's wife and went back to live in the cave. Rama is angered by Vali's abduction and takes an oath to Sugriva that he will kill him. Sugriva promises Rama in exchange that he will help to get Sita back, and if he would destroy Vali and crown him king. They get to the cave and Rama hides from Vali's view, and while the two brothers fight, Rama sends an arrow and mortally wounds Vali. Vali is shocked by this arrow and wonders who killed him. As he pulls the arrow to discover it is from Rama, he asks why he did this, hiding from him instead of coming out and facing him directly. Rama does not say anything, but Lakshmana explained that if he had shown his face to Vali, Vali would have also taken refuge in him, and Rama would have been in a quandary, because now his oath of killing him could not be kept. Vali dies, saying he's blessed to be killed by the great Rama, forgiving him for hiding. Sugriva is crowned king, and within a few months, he promises Rama to help him and agrees to send Hanuman to Lanka as a messenger. Rama gives Hanuman his ring so Sita will know he is a true messenger from Rama. Comments. The most significant fact that stands out is Rama, the acme of perfection, shows his imperfection regarding the way he kills Vali by hiding. Many experts justify this using Lakshmana's defense. But like Dr. C. Rajagopalachari from India says, Rama, having been born on this earth in a physical body, is destined to err. This and one more incident that comes at the end of the story illustrates his weaknesses. Hanuman is a remarkable figure that we shall expand on in the next Kanda, Sundara Kanda. He is an abject devotee of Rama. In Isis Unveiled, Volume 2, page 274, while describing the seventh avatar of Vishnu, H.P. Blavatsky says that he is Rama's next of kin, friend and ally, Hanuman, the monkey god, the monkey endowed with speech. What of the monkeys in this section? How do we understand them? Further on in Isis Unveiled, page 278, H.P. Blavatsky states, this Rama avatar conceals one of the most scientific problems of our day, namely, whether man descended from the apes or whether the apes are the result of the sins of the human race sexually interacting with the monkeys in the Atlantean or Lemurian periods. The Hindu sees in the ape but what Manu desired he should, the transformation of species most directly connected with that of the human family. Nothing in the esoteric occult world is all magic, mystery, or a fantasy. Plausible explanations are possible. We now enter Sundarakanda. The section is all about Hanuman going to Lanka. Being the son of Vayu, the wind, he changes his shape into a huge being and crosses the strait to Lanka and then assumes a very small figure to move about unnoticed. He comes across a form that calls herself the Devi and gatekeeper of Lanka. As Hanuman uses his strength to vanquish her, she says he released her from a curse that had decreed that a monkey would liberate her to unite with Brahma, and she departs. He now enters the kingdom of Lanka and sees the beautiful palaces of Ravana's brothers and his wife, the queen of Lanka. Soon he enters a lovely garden called Ashokavana, where he encounters a beautiful forlorn woman who looks like she's been crying for a long time, surrounded by Rakshasis who are guarding her. He surmises that she must be Sita, and so he decides to go down to greet her. But suddenly he spies the king come with his retinue to the garden and stays hidden. So he stays hidden. Rama comes there to beseech her to be his queen, and Sita scorns him, and he leaves, disappointed and angry. As soon as he leaves, Hanuman lays a spell on the Rakshasis, so they fall asleep, and he watches Sita getting ready to hang herself. He immediately appears before her, folding his palms together, explains who he is and who sent him. First, she thinks he's a phantom of her imagination or created by the Rakshasas. But as Hanuman begins to talk and describes Rama's sorrow at being separated from her and hands her the ring from him, she gradually feels glad and relieved. She gives one of her ornaments, the Chudamani, and requests him to take it to Rama. She wonders how he crossed the waters, and he shows her his huge form and says, I can take you back to him. Sita declines, saying she doesn't want to depart in secrecy and deceit like she was brought here. She also adds that she will be alive for another month so that Rama can come with his army to defeat and kill Ravana and take her back. Hanuman departs after this, carrying the Chudamani carefully for Rama. But first he destroys part of the garden. Different warriors come from Rama's army to defeat him, and he destroys them all. Finally, Indrajit, the son of Ravana, captures him and takes him to Ravana's court. Rama asks him why he is here, and he says Ravana asks him why he was there, and he responds that he is Rama's messenger. And Ravana is ready to kill him, but his brother Vibhishana prevents him, saying that it is immoral to kill a messenger. Then Ravana sets fire to his tail, but Hanuman quickly lights up Lanka to let it burn as he escapes and flies back to Kishkinda. As soon as he arrives there and he folds his palms and tells Rama everything, so Rama knows all is well with Sita. Rama is grateful for the information and the Chudamani from Sita. Comments from Kishkinda Kanda. Hanuman has many names in India. He is called Anjaneya, which means born from Anjana's stomach. He is called Maruti. Another name for Vayu is Marut, Marut's son, as well as Sundara. Small wonder, this Kanda is called Sundara Kanda. Sita, when she hears that Hanuman's tail has been lit, meditates on Agni, the god of fire, to keep Hanuman safe and not get burnt, showing her powers over the elements. Once again, this section focuses on Hanuman and his amazing exploits getting to Lanka and back. Many devoted Indians read the Sundara Kanda during special festivals several times. It is the Kanda of hope. Finally, we come to Yuddha Kanda, the section on war. Lanka has been rebuilt after the fire, and Ravana consults with his advisors as what needs to be done after the arrival and departure of Hanuman. Some advise him to go directly to Kishkinda to attack Rama for what Hanuman did. But Vibhishana, his brother, says that Ravana's misfortunes are not because of a monkey's doing, but rather the result of the abduction of another man's wife. He praises Rama's prowess and might and talks about his history and his earlier avatars. Ravana is so angry by this that he banishes him from Lanka. Vibhishana travels to meet Rama and takes refuge with him. The troops are readied and the water barrier is crossed by building a bridge with stones, and they get to Lanka. Ravana also gets his troops ready and the battle starts. Rama gives Ravana one more opportunity to stop the battle. He requests him to free Sita and hand her over to him. But Ravana refuses. There is no alternative left but to fight. On the first day of the battle, Ravana is depleted of his weapons and Rama tells him to go home and come back tomorrow to fight because he is bereft of any arms. The next day, Ravana's other brother, Kumbhakarna, arrives and is defeated and killed with the help of Sugriva and Lakshmana. One by one, Ravana's closest allies and family are killed by Rama. Soon Indrajit arrives and hurls one of his magical armaments at Lakshmana and Hanuman and disappears. The two of them fall down. Rama thinks that they are killed, but Vibhishana assures that they are just in a stupor and it is just some magic that Indrajit did. As dusk falls, Garuda arrives and the two wake up. Rama bestows his gratitude to the great wise bird of Kala, time, and Garuda departs. The battle continues with more magic and illusion, and Sita seems to appear in the battle. Vibhishana transforms himself into a bee and goes to the Ashoka garden and verifies that the real Sita is still there. By this time, Indrajit feels he has no other alternative but to fight Lakshmana now and does so. He is defeated and killed as well. The battle continues as countless troops are killed by Rama's forces, and finally, Rama uses the Brahma Astra and kills Ravana. But as Rama had promised, he crowns Vibhishana king of Lanka. However, when Sita is brought before Rama, he refuses to take her back because she was in another man's kingdom. She is incensed and insulted and decides to jump into the fire. But Agni comes and tells Rama that she is pure and untouched by any other man. So Rama takes everyone back to Ayodhya since the 14 years are over and goes back to rule Ayodhya, where Bharata has been waiting patiently for him. The ending is bittersweet for the reason that Sita is suspected of wrongdoing by the great Rama. So initially for me, I felt that these two errors, the killing of Bali and the rejection of Sita, as errors and sins due to manifestation on earth. However, what was interesting was the reading at the beginning gives us a clue. Rama is a strict follower of tradition, and he also keeps his word. So, having given Sugriva an oath to kill his brother, he does so and does it hiding, just like Lakshmana says. Second, tradition makes him let Sita prove her innocence because he cannot accept her according to the tradition if she is defiled. Therefore, he is a god on earth, or devas. Just like, I shall end with what the Yoga Vashishta says here. He says, which Monica read so beautifully, great sage, in the Vedas, Agamas, and Puranas, and also in the Smritis, the word of the spiritual teacher is declared to be the rule. Now, the Vedas are the highest authority, being revealed scriptures. Agamas are sacred writings, which deal with the practical aspects of religious disciplines. Smritis are compositions of sages interpreting the Vedas and prescribing codes of conduct. So, Rama is strictly following the rules of conduct, being a deva. I shall end here and would love to have some time for comments and questions.
It's beautifully read, Shobha.
Yeah.
And,
Please, I'm sorry, I had to have my headphones on. So sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was
go ahead.
beautifully read, and thank you.
Thank you.
I've always found it very difficult to follow and the story, but your reading of it was very helpful. So, but one of the things that I've often wondered if I listen to the story with my Western ears is, do all these characters that are in the Ramayana, do they reflect something of our psychology? Are they an indication of the forces that are within us that we have to manage? And has anyone ever associated all those characters with those forces and with the psychology that is within us?
Great questions. I think I would say yes to the first two. As far as anybody doing work, the little research that I did, I wish I had done more research, but the little research I did, the problem with many of the commentaries that I read is the drama is just considered, because he's the avatar of Vishnu, there is that, already there is some kind of a slant to the way they take the whole thing. And again, I deliberately wanted to look at a different version and not the Valmiki for two reasons. Number one, it's my mother tongue and I had never read it. So this was at least an opportunity for me to get to know some of the beautiful poetry of Kamban. And also, I found that Kamban did not, in Valmiki, which I found by reading some other commentaries that were comparing the two, that he is much more willing to blame Kaikeyi and talk about it. And there are characters in the story who do that in Valmiki. But here there is not one case of anybody cursing her or saying anything. The only person who gets angry is Bharata. So as far as the forces, all I could find was what H.P. Blavatsky and, in the ISIS, and there must be others. I am sure if I went to sources like the theosociety.org, the Theosophical Society, probably they would have something in their form of glossary that they have. as it is, I think I took so long, and I felt I better stop here. But I think it's worth looking into. Thank you for that, Laura. If somebody has any comments, or I would appreciate it, because
Shobha, it's Monica.
yes,
thank you so very much. What a wonderful presentation, so potent and so full. And I had the same feeling and question feeling in heart as Laura did. I wondered, one thing is that we know through the study of theosophy about the male and female aspects of power, of creation, of the universe. And so it was a curious thing to this student that I don't remember a presentation that offered us information in duality in this way with Rama and Sita. I don't remember seeing that before. So that was very interesting. And I wanted to know if it was at least in part due to the idea, and Laura touched on it too, that Rama is that manifestation of that power of sustenance that Vishnu is. And is he symbolically, or in fact, is he the beginning of evolution in that way, of these forces moving through the different planes of existence? Is that at all a reason why we're being presented with his consort or his wife?
Could you tell me what the, because I kind of missed that, why is it important to talk of them as a pair versus?
Yes, that's essentially it. Yes, I don't remember us ever having such a presentation before.
Well, I think it's extremely important because to me, being a feminist and also being a humanist, I always, I find many depictions of Sita as being beautiful, being tempted by all this. But remember, karma works in mysterious ways. And one of the things that is mentioned in this Kamba Ramayanam from the beginning is the fact that the objective was very clear. The gods, I mean, there's probably a prologue to the Ramayana, which I need to read, find out, look for it. And, I'm sure I'll be able to find it and get it. The prologue should have this conversation like the Greek gods had in Olympus before anything happened, right? It's the same kind of a thing, because there is a backstory of something Indra did. It has something to do with Indra, who is equivalent to Zeus in the Greek mythology, always getting into trouble and, philandering and stuff like that. So there is some need to discipline Indra. I think there is something involved with that. And I've been trying to find the source. I may be able to, I have a book, I'm going to look at that book and see if it has it. But like I said, I spent so much time with this that I said, no, I'm not going to put more. In fact, Laura, I was dying to read The Dream of Ravana to kind of link that too, which is such a beautiful, surreal, funny, it's very funny too. Funny, got a great sense of humor to read, but it's got some profound things. But I just felt like I had had enough and I just needed to focus on what I had. But the reason, I'll come back to what I'm trying to say, Monica, is that the two go together. It's like Shiva goes with Shakti.
That's right.
Shiva Shakti, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. It's the preserver comes with this figure who is of the earth. How symbolic that she was found on the earth, right? Yes. How symbolic that she had control over the elements, she was able to save. I mean, these were not ordinary people. I mean, again, it's mythology, right? You don't have to take everything, like Pocock said, but there is a meaning to it that we probably don't get, and we have to dig deeper. That's what I feel. But they do have to go together. The male and the female manifestation, right?
Yes.
We talk about manifestation being a duality. So how can there not be this, the pair?
Yeah.
And that instant attraction, what is it? It's not love in the conventional sense of the word, right? It's an affinity. They immediately recognize each other, right? It's a beautiful thing. The way the poet says, he looks up, she looks down, and there's instant chemistry, Well, I mean, chemistry is a very easy word to use, but instant magnetism, there. So there's a power there, which is beyond explanation. And so it's not, this is why it's so beautiful. And H.P. Blavatsky has these, one of the most wonderful things for me is that whether it's a deva, it's a asura is the deva, another name for the devas. Whether it's a deva, whether it's an asura, whether it's a rakshasa, they're all different beings. And look at Vashishta's words. He says, there are no evil spirits, but good and evil. What a profound thing to say. Vashishta was the wisest of all of them. And H.P. Blavatsky's quote from Secret Doctrine is profound about his wisdom. And we say that in theosophy, right? Good and evil are relative.
That's right.
You need to go beyond it. And again, they were the iconoclasts, the Rakshasas. They were the rebels, right? They were the what's the other word I'm looking for? Those who refuse to go to war, right? I think of Geiger's Manas, he used to talk about all that, right? The refusal to go, they were the rebels, the Lucifers, right? The Lucifers. And so I think it's important to look at this from a different perspective, to see that it's a leela, it's a play of different kinds of characters. And it teaches us so much. It's like the Odyssey. The Odyssey is full of gore and death and suffering and, the sirens, the, Circe and, the whole thing, Scylla, Charybdis, everything. But so much profound meaning in all of it. So apparently Homer was, according to H.P. Blavatsky, was influenced by the Ramayana, which is something very exciting to see.
Wonderful. Didn't know that. Thank you so much, Shobha.
Thank you.
David,
you're welcome.
David has a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, hi,
Thanks, Shobha. It was great. I just wanted to add another parallel to kind of reaffirm what you've been talking about is Vishnu and Lakshmi.
Yes.
It's almost like
yes,
that same coming together.
Yes, exactly. Because each, she is the incarnation of Lakshmi, and he is the incarnate. There is again, that was very clear because he came down as an avatar. Now, all this is beautiful to understand the architectonics of the story, right? What was the purpose of being there, right? So beautiful, yeah. Lakshmi, Vishnu, yes, yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Jitendra.
I will not come on video, but I like to share my research about Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita. Both of them. I've been studying them for a long time, nearly 40, 50 years now. All these mythological names are given in the characters, to the characters. Each name means something of virtue or vices.
Right.
Like, for example, I would put Ram as a self. One's, Krishna as a self, or Ram as a self, or Jesus as a self. When you say Jesus Christ, then I would say Christ is a self.
Mhm.
So it's our spirit. The self is some eternal life force,
Right.
I would call it. So I wouldn't like to call it as a God, and God is, you must understand the meaning of the God,
Right.
the concept of God,
Yeah.
that is not sitting on the throne somewhere and
Mhm.
directing and creating and so forth.
Mhm.
So there is nothing like creator. I was
Right.
not created, so I won't be
Yeah.
destroyed. I
Right.
had no beginning, so I'll have no end. This
Right.
sort of thing. So the Vishnu, the word Vishnu means that which pervades everywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So, and the Hanuman is the son of wind. I would call it a prana or breath that we take.
Right.
Yeah. Lakshman is the virtue of um,
Constancy and devotion, right?
yes, yes. Some,
Yes.
yeah.
Constancy and
So
devotion.
yeah. And the Sita is like bhakti. Bhakti means
Yes.
devotion as well. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So
No.
this is what I would say. You
Yep.
know, if you put them in esoteric language, then each name represents some virtue or vices.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
when you say about good and evil, there's nothing like evil.
Yes.
And I read it recently from the Master's Letters to Episinet, where he
Exactly.
says evil means the absence of good.
Right. Yeah.
Like there is no darkness, is
Yes.
absence of light.
Yes. That was my whole point about saying that manifestation creates the duality and, of right and wrong, what we think is right and wrong. So whether it's the devas or the asuras or the rakshasas, they're all just doing what they do from their point of view. And like Vashishta, I mean, to me, that sounds like the most beautiful phrase. There are no evil spirits, just good and evil, So it's yeah. And being students of theosophy, there is no God. The God is just the highest, the highest. And the story of Rama is to inspire people, students of theosophy, anybody who is a theosophist in the true sense of the term, may not even belong to the theosophical movement, is to aspire to be the perfect, not just physically, but more than that, spiritually. And I love the way H.P. Blavatsky talks about the progression. And I find, I didn't have time to talk about it, but I was also thinking about how it could be connected with the rounds and the races, the evolution of man. The evolution of Rama's avatars is pari passu with the evolution of, the rounds and the races, and it's beautiful to see that connection.
Thank you.
Also, I read somewhere that Ram had 12 siddhis and Krishna had 16 siddhis.
Yeah.
So the evolution is taking place.
Yes.
That as you evolve,
yeah,
you get more powers.
Yeah.
To perform.
Interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
One of the things
the way you read it, the way you is excellently put in. I've read the same Ramayana that you have been reading today. I've read word by word in English. Because I don't know Gujarati or I don't know Hindi or how to read and write. So my knowledge is only through English books.
That's okay. That's all right.
Thank you so much, Jiten.
Thank you. Thank you.
Laura, I think you had a question.
Yeah, just one comment. One of the first things that caught me my attention in the beginning was how the 3 wives had 4 sons.
Exactly. Isn't that beautiful? That's so beautiful. I never thought of that. What a beautiful thing to say, Laura.
And one of the things that came to my mind is that from a theosophical point of view, which is the only way I can understand it, was the idea of Atma Buddhi and then the dual Manas, that the two, like the 3 wives had the 4, which is the the dual manus maybe comes into play there. That's one of the thoughts that came to mind.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's so many interpretations. I was thinking of the 3 into the 4, right?
Yes.
The 3 becoming the 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. There's so many ways of looking at it. No, I was thinking of, there's so much in this, and but I just felt like what a beautiful way in which Valmiki constructed it into different sections. And in India, really, the reading of the Sundara Kanda is very, very, very popular, and people say reading it is supposed to help them, in their spiritual quest. But to me, when I think of that section, I think of it's a remarkable story. I shrunk it as I kept going. I kept shrinking everything, but the exploits of Hanuman are just incredible, and it's so beautiful, the descriptions and his wonder. And he talks, and H.P. Blavatsky talks about it, I think, in The Secret Doctrine, about how he's amazed that some of the Rakshasas are so beautiful. He sees all that, he's amazed by all that when he travels. And it's like one of those Spider-Man, Superman kind of things, and it's amazing, like the Marvel Comics characters. And it's beautiful. And there's so much in that. It's not a very long section, but still it's one that people in India read during, say, Diwali or the Navaratri, which is the 9 nights, which also celebrates the coming of Rama and Sita back to Ayodhya. It also, in a certain way, talks about it. It's a 9 nights thing, but it's interesting how people read it at different festivals. As some kind of a discipline. They'll read it about 9 times, 8 times, some amount. So only that section, not the others. But again, I can see why, because it's such a beautiful one, where Rama gives her the ring and she gives him the Chudamani, and there is hope. There is a sense of hope and, expectation in that section. Yeah, so.
Just lovely.
Is there an English version of the Sundara, the Hanuman, the Sundara Kanda?
Is there a what edition?
In English? Is there an English?
Oh, I'm sure there is. You just have to look for it. In fact, I will tell you, the gentleman I spoke about, who said that it's human error. Being born on Earth, the 2 mistakes, the so-called mistakes that the controversies about the Rama, written by Dr. C. Rajagopalachari. His Ramayana is beautiful. It's in English. And in fact, I used to read it to my sons when they were young. I think it was a Penguin edition when I bought it years ago. So I don't know what edition it is now, but it should be available. I'll send you the information, Ken.
Thank you. Yes.
Beautiful. Well, I think that we are going to close once again. Shobha, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
for such a magnificent presentation.
Oh, God. Sorry it took so long.
Oh, no. We're glad it did. Well, Jonathan wants to ask a question before we close.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
You have to be a little, he's a little harder to hear. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, one thing is that as a family, we all read the C. Rajagopalachari Ramayana. And what is the deal with the significance of certain Rakshasas being killed by Rama Avatar? In other words, especially Ravana. It seems that he's actually a high being, is my understanding. It was first in that form. Anyway, I'll let you take it.
Are you saying what was the purpose of killing all those Rakshasas?
What is the significance of Ravana being incarnated in order to be killed or subdued by Rama?
Significance. Well, you know, Ravana himself was a wonderful human being. Seriously, he was a devotee of Shiva and he had been given a lot of powers. But you know, you remember the story of Hiranyakashyap, who became very powerful. And he then started, you know, a sense of pride, right? Like the voice of the silence says, a sense of pride changes the whole, situation. I can't remember the exact quote from the voice, but you know what I'm talking about when they, in the 7 portals, a sense of pride mars the work or something. And so that was the reason Narasimha come in to destroy him, because he had gotten all his boons. And he had said, I cannot die during the night. I cannot die during the day. I cannot die inside. I cannot die outside. I cannot be killed by a human. I cannot be killed by a man. So what did they get? They got a man lion, killed him at the threshold, in between, you know, inside and outside during dusk. So, I mean, somehow every boon has its, downfall, right? So this is the same thing with Ravana. Ravana was an amazing person. He wasn't a wicked person like, you know, the general idea. No, he wasn't the embodiment of wickedness, but his biggest failing was his going after another man's wife, you know, and that, so he had to be stopped. See, remember, I said this when I read from the Yoga Vashishta. Rama was a person who followed the decrees of the Vedas, the Puranas, the Smritis. He was exact about it. He was very, very particular. This is why when his father said those boons, he said, yes, I have to do it. There is no way I can get out of it. So everything, when there is an oath taken that he will kill Vali, he says, I have to do it. And this whole thing, even with Sita, even though I still have a little bit of a problem having this feminist perspective, I have to also realize Rama was never a rule breaker. He believed in tradition. He followed the law. I don't think if he were driving today, he'd go beyond 55 in a 55 mile zone, you know. So I think it's that kind of sticking to the regimen of the law, and his extreme, what shall I say, devotion to his gurus, his teachers, is very apparent in especially in the Yoga Vashishta and throughout. If Vishwamitra says you have to kill her, he kills her, Tatiki, even though he's hesitant. So I think that is what stands out for me. The more I'm really glad we decided to read this Yoga Vashishta thing that suddenly sparked this idea within me. Till then, my rational mind was saying, no, what he did was wrong, you know. But C. Rajagopalachari takes that view because he's a rationalist. That's fine. He is entitled to his view. And like Jitendra said, it's they're not gods. They like, you know, you look at them as human beings who achieved the acme of perfection. You know, there is one way of looking at them, you know. And anyway, gods are not the be all and end all of absoluteness, right? So we know that. Yeah. So there's that piece.
Yes, we have one more question, I think. Desiree.
Oh, Desiree. Hi, Desiree.
Hey, Shobha. Wonderful, wonderful. And your storytelling is, it was a pleasure listening to you and learning. And I've not read this story before. I was wondering, though, what is the significance of the forest? and walking and being exiled there for 14 years. Is number 14 significant?
Very good.
And
Yes.
yeah, because it seems like this is a character that's going from a kingly environment and joining nature in a way.
Yeah.
When it's because she represents nature. I assume that's her
right.
pure character is nature.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, is there a significance to that? Does it mean that he is communing now with nature? And what is that, if there is a significance to the 14 years?
I don't think these are 14 years as we see it. I keep thinking, I really do. I just have to relate it to the Manus. Look at all the different rishis and people they see. Who are they? Are they Manus? Are they part of the whole rounds and races and the cycles? I think there's so much in the Ramayana that I don't know if students, I'm sure if like I said, if I had gone to the site, the Theosophical Society site, maybe I'd have gotten much more. I purposely limited myself to this because this itself took me a long time to gather but definitely I thought of that. I love the fact that you brought up the 14 because I said 14, 7 into 2, right? And then knowing you, Desiree, I know.
My number.
No, it's important because I was thinking about the whole article we read was it in the, on our Sunday morning on the Manus, the Manvantaras, remember that? And then we talk about each Manu being there. And I'm thinking, is there any significance with the different rishis he meets in the hermitages and them being those Manus? Could they be the Manus? Is it really 14 years or is it 14 multiplied by, I don't know what number to be in the billions, millions or billions, right? So is it a yuga? Is it, what does it signify? That they say it's only in one yuga, right? They say it's the Treta Yuga, one of those yugas. And I'm like, I don't know. That's all making it too simple. So that's there. Then there's this whole thing about one rishi who refuses to go to Brahmaloka. So doesn't want to be liberated. He wants to be like Buddha, probably. I thought, he doesn't want to go to Brahmaloka. I'm like, he's the only one who refuses to go there. The rest of them are very happy to go to liberation, right? Moksha. They're there. All of them, they say we'll go to Brahmaloka, when they're released by Rama, So I thought, very interesting. Why this difference? So immediately I thought of that, the two parts, right? So there's so much there,
There is there. It's like, yeah. We'll probably read it quite a few times and other elements that seem to parallel other stories.
Yeah, I didn't read, remember, mind you, I didn't read the original in Tamil. I read somebody's commentary and he had selected some verses that I could read. Even that was hard. It was old. It was like reading Chaucer or even harder, The words were all very different. So he had his own, and then I have to understand him, So don't worry, I had fun reading.
If you don't mind, there's
the chat. There's okay.
I was just about to read that. Jitendra says to everyone, 14 years represents 7 physical elements and 7 astral elements, and of course, astral means emotions and desires.
Right.
Des, of course, it says magnificent, Shobha. I totally agree. What a storyteller you are. From Percy B. Monchi to everyone, wonderful presentation. Thanks very much. And I think that's it.
Yeah, and thank you, Truth, for telling me to put on my headphones.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. Just
thank you.
Hope to see you next time. Everybody be well and safe. Namaste.
Yeah. Thank you.
Namaste.
Next week is Hanuman.
Thanks, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.